I've been having a bit of a stressful time at the moment. Well, if not stressful, inconvenient and stressful. I've been travelling up and down the country to see family for it's a month now actually, it's a month. So I'm going up once or twice a week, and I have to drive up to the north of the country, drive up to my brother's, drop Molly off, drive about half an hour to the hospital. The trip up to my brother's is about 2.5 hours. Spend an hour and a half in the hospital, drive back to my brother's, pick Molly up, drive back home, and do all that in one day. And the reason I do that in one day, I could stay over, is just that I'm a creature of routine. I like being home, I like my own bed, I like my own house, I like my own comforts, and so does Molly. I think it's about a 6-hour drive, or 7 hours altogether, which isn't that much in the scheme of things really. I mean, but it's just that I have got out of the habit of driving long distances like I used to, and it's all motorways going from through one city into another city, and the country is just full of roadworks at the moment. And then when we get off there, it's all windy country lanes that everybody else is familiar with, so they're flashing along them. And I'm a relaxed driver, and I'm a good driver, and I don't actually feel any stress. But I think at the end of the day, you feel like it's been a long day, it's been a hard day, and I just want to get home and get in my own bed and just feel that familiarity. I think you all know what I mean. I can actually feel the stress when I get home, because you're kind of driving to what you know will be a stressful situation, having a bit of a stressful time in that stressful situation, and then driving back home from a stressful situation. Stressful. And that's for me, that experience for me is just like an example of what we all go through in our own individual lives every day and every week. I'm not unique. We're all under stress. I wake up the following morning and I still have that residual feeling of stress. And apart from that residual feeling of stress, I'm in a situation at the moment where I'm waiting for a phone call all the time. That means I will have to drop everything, get in the car and repeat that stressful situation over and over again. So what do I do? What I do, and what we all do, is I go out and I find a situation that is absolutely diametrically opposed to the situation that's caused me the stress. Now, the situation I put myself into that's diametrically opposed to the stressful situation may be similar to yours, but it won't be the same, because we're all completely unique animals. We're all different. So your situation that you find it releases stress for you it's like it's unique, like a fingerprint or optical character recognition software. It's you. Nobody else is the same as you. It may be similar, but it's like chemicals that are flowing through our bodies that give us urges and feelings and emotions. They're all similar. They're all very similar, but they're all completely different. We are unique. So the situation I put myself in is unique. Now, I come out here into the English countryside. You go out into the countryside. Now, I always talk about the countryside, but it doesn't necessarily have to be to the countryside, but we'll come to that shortly. So I take myself out into the countryside. Now, this countryside is familiar to me because it's what I've grown up in. I don't know any different. I've visited different, But to actually live in, I don't know any different. This is so familiar. When I open my eyes, this is what I see. When I go out in the car, this is what I see. When I go out to the house, this is what I see. This is what I see. This is what I smell. This is what I hear. This is what I feel. And this is unique to me. But if you live in a rural area, the stresses will be there, but the stresses will be different than the stresses I'm put under. So you may very well find the place that you feel less stress is an urban environment. You may take comfort in the sound of other people and the smell of traffic and the smell of food coming from shops. When you've spent your life in an area that is completely countryside, with just the smells of the countryside and the sounds of the countryside, you need something diametrically opposed to that. And because you live in that environment doesn't mean you won't get stress. Of course you get stress. We all get stress. Life brings on stresses. So you go to somewhere, obviously, if you want the ultimate stress relief, you have to go to somewhere that is absolutely diametrically opposed to the thing that is causing you stress. So if you live in a wild environment, middle of a prairie, on the side of a mountain, completely surrounded by trees and fabulous waterfalls and views for hundreds of miles to distant horizons and mountains, blue and white in the distance, and you get stress, you're going to have to take yourself away from that. And the ultimate stress relief is going to be somewhere that is absolutely diametrically opposed to that. So what do? You take yourself off, do you? To a city. Somewhere where you can go in a bar, somewhere where you can go to a theatre, somewhere where you can go for a drink, somewhere you can go and buy some food, somewhere where there are people and you feel the security of other people, of crowds, the security of crowds rather than the madness of crowds. You feel safe with traffic because it's other humans. You feel safe and protected because you're surrounded by humans, because that is diametrically opposed to isolation, the isolation you live. So if you live in the wilds somewhere on the side of a mountain and you're stressed out, and there will be all sorts of stresses, especially in an environment like that, because I've got stress, I've got first world stresses, but up there you may have stresses like keeping yourself warm, keeping yourself fed, and those stresses. And so when you go away and you take yourself into a busy, urban, loud, noisy, smelly, tactile environment, you cannot put yourself back into the wilds until you're back in the wilds. It's impossible. When you're in an environment, and I've said this before, it's a bit like pain. You can't experience pain. You can describe pain. You can say, oh, I was in pain. But you cannot feel pain unless you feel in pain. You cannot feel a pinprick. You can describe it. You can describe a scald. You can describe a pinprick. You can describe a paper cut. You can describe a bump on the head. You can describe it and say, oh, I had this cut and it felt like this. But all you're doing is describing a memory. You're kind of putting into words a feeling. So you can't actually feel it. So you can only feel the stresses of your environment when you're in that environment, when you're in that situation, when you're on that motorway. Afterwards you can say, I had a bloody awful day yesterday driving up and down that motorway. You're only describing a feeling that you had the day before. So when we take ourselves out of a stressful environment and put ourselves into an environment that's beneficent and nice and pleasing, you can't put yourself back into the bad environment. So that's why we should take ourselves out of a stressful environment if we can. And it's all different. If you live in an environment that is quite equitable, you don't have to take yourself to somewhere extreme. You will take yourself to somewhere that's quite equitable, but with slightly different nuances, and that will be your escape route. That will be your safe space, your safe room, your solitude away from the vagaries of the world and the stresses of the day. I'm here now, and yesterday, yeah, it was stressful. It's stressful at the moment for plenty of reasons, and now I'm out here and it's warm and it's fairly quiet, and I can look up and see the clouds unbroken, and I can stand here and watch the clouds for all day if I want. Nobody's telling me I can't. I probably couldn't do that if it was in a busy environment, because somebody'd run over me in a car or bump into me or whatever, or abuse me and shout at me for standing in the way. But here I can stand and watch all day. Here I can look over there at the hillside where there's blue patches in the sky. Beyond the hill there's clouds, there's the green and the golds and the browns of the leaves as they turn in autumn. And this is diametrically opposed to a motorway where you couldn't see a tree, where all you can see is traffic and all you can hear is noise, and you put the radio on to take your mind off the noise. And this has got everything different. This has got no sound, space, no cars, no smells of the traffic. Everything. You could actually make a list of everything that you find stressful in the situation. Be a good exercise. Make a list of everything you find stressful in the situation you're in, be it at home or at work or whatever. Make bullet points, make 10 bullet points, and on every one of those, put what you think would be the absolute opposite, diametrically opposed to that. And if you do that and then look at that, you have found the ideal situation in which to put yourself to ease the stresses of a situation or the stresses of the day. I'm a genius. I just come up with this stuff. Why do most people think I'm a bit of an idiot? I can hear birds over there. I can hear Molly. Can you hear Molly in the grass over here? Ah, it's very cool. So when you want to get away from the stresses of the day, don't try to manufacture something artificial that you think is what you need to take you away from the stress. Don't Google how to get away from the stress, because all you're doing then is getting somebody else's idea. You're taking somebody else's fingerprints. You're doing somebody else's optical character recognition, and it's not you. There's only you. You're an individual you. Only you have that fingerprint. Don't Google it. You will know. Just get out and just find it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like, what's wrong with searching for things nowadays? I think we everything's at our fingertips, everything we want immediately. Immediate gratification, instant gratification, and we need that, and we think we can get it through technology and through Google and through the internet, and we can't. There's nothing wrong with going out and searching, and if that is a long search, then the benefits at the end of it, the feeling of achievement at the end of it, will be tenfold, because we've searched for it, we've gone out and done a bit of work, and that's where we are now. I feel I could stay out here forever, but I won't, because I've got things to do. But I can come out here again, and if not here, somewhere else in this kind of environment, with the autumn trees and the grass and the sounds of England and the smells of England, because that's me and that's my fingerprint, and you shall find yours. And we shall see you on the flip. Peace and love.